In the past two videos, we implemented event binding. Now that we have implemented event binding, let me summarize the flow of events. When the button is clicked, the btn clicked function is called. Within the implementation of this function, the title property is appended with $ and the property value gets modified. We have already created one-way data binding between the title property and various HTML elements in the template. So Angular transfers the data from this title property to all those HTML template elements. In app.component.html, I am selecting the first app.title. We can see Visual Studio Code highlighting all the places where app.title is used. So the updated data in app.title is reflected in all these elements, and we were able to see $ appended in all those places. Hope this gives an understanding on how the page works when the button is clicked. When the button is clicked, the flow of execution starts from the HTML template and reaches the component class. This is called as event binding. The flow happens from the button in HTML template to component class function, but there is no reverse traversal flow from the function back to the button. Hence, this binding is also called as one-way data binding. One can argue that in our example, the data flow also happens in the reverse from title property of the component class to HTML template. But this transfer of data is not initiated by Angular, but it is initiated by the code that we have included in btn clicked function. If this code is not present in this function, then it may not trigger the data flow. Hence, event binding is also classified as one-way data binding. Based on this explanation, we can modify our Angular architecture diagram with inclusion of normal brackets for event binding as one-way data binding. Think about implementing this event binding based functionality in JavaScript. You need to include ID attribute for each HTML element. Then in JavaScript, a separate document.getElementById function should be called for each HTML element, and respective DOM property should be modified using JavaScript. In Angular, notice that we have not written any code related to DOM manipulation. We have only modified the data. Hope this helps you understand the benefits of using Angular. With this, we are concluding our learning on event binding. From the next video onwards, we will start learning two-way data binding.